Okay, so today I'm going to teach you how to make a box that doesn't have colliding sides. Now if you notice on this one, it's perfectly square on the outside, and each side is actually edged. Now if you wonder what edging means, it means each side is slanted so that they fit in perfectly like puzzle pieces. And they all fit together just absolutely perfectly. So we're going to select everything real quick and delete it. Now, I want to tell you what a brush is. A brush is just anything at all, except for a patch. And a patch is special because it's only got one side. Literally only has one side. So this is a brush. It's a square. We could also take a brush and make it 9-sided. We could take a brush and we could make it 8-sided, 7-sided, 6-sided, 5, 4, 3. Anything above 3 or anything with an arbitrary side number like 512. Though that'll probably mess up the entire thing and it won't allow it. So, we've got 4 sides right here. Every brush has edges. If you press the E button, you can see those edges. 2 on every side and 1 on every corner. 2 on every side, 1 on every corner. So a vertex, which is a V, if you press the V button, there are 2 on every corner. But an edge, there's 1 on every corner and 2 on every side. Now vertices are a little bit more involved if we were going to get into the vertices, but right here we can see, without a shadow of a doubt, that you can drag these edges. So we'll drag each of them out 1 unit. Now by 1, I actually have my grid set to 8, so it's dragging them out 8 units, but it's dragging them out 1 grid length. So this brush is now edged. Now if you want to know what edged means, it just means it's slanted so that you can make a box out of it. Now, if we're going to go ahead and shrink this view and look at it, as long as it's 144 by 144, as long as it's a square, or it's edged with a square center, you can then take it, rotate the X, place it over on a corner, and it fits perfectly together. They each have a 45-degree angle, so they sit on each other perfectly. Now if we take that and we take selection, rotate the X 2 more times, then they fit on each other again. That way, we've got the beginnings of a box. Now, with this, all we have to do is take 2 sides, copy them, selection, rotate the Z. Now we can drag those into location, and voila. A perfect box that's completely square on the inside and completely square on the outside, and it doesn't have any of those horrible colliding areas like you would have if we were to, say, make a box completely the same size, drag it over a little bit. Now we're going to look at this and we're going to press CHG hollow. Now look at all these big areas where they're all colliding. You can't have a wall inside of a wall. You can't have a wall that literally is inside of another wall. You can't have 2 things inside of each other. It's impossible. You can have something inside of something else if it's hollow, but that's not going to work. I mean, we could have something in here, but you can't have it inside of the wall, because the wall isn't hollow. There's mass in the wall. So, your normal way of doing it would be just to use subtract on every couple of sides. I'm sure that's what you do because that's what we all did at some point. And now, voila, you've got a nice box, right? Well, wrong, because they're not all the same sides. So you can't use those sides as prefabs for other things. I know, what's a prefab? A prefab is a prefabricated thing that you can just copy in other places. So if you've got a box like this, which honestly I think that it's a lot smoother and it's a lot neater when you can just take a cap and move it up. And you can look inside and you don't see any, ugly, oh, they don't fit perfectly. But if you move this up, it's like, oh wow, look at that, that's not really that neat. And plus they look a lot cooler on the, 2D views. So that's a nice 4.5 minutes. The other way that you could do it is, say we had this big box and we hollow it out, then we could drag each side over. Well, hold on. We can drag each side out 1 unit on the grid, or drag it up. By the way, plus button allows you to drag things up. Minus button allows you to drop them down. Arrows don't do anything, see? They just move your camera. And now we've got a box as well, right? Well, the only difference is this one isn't edged. I mean, it's the beginning of the same thing, right? I mean, you've basically got this, except it's not edged. So you can take this and you can press the E button and you can edge each of these sides, which you actually want to do it this way. Drag this up, drag this down, drag this over, and drag this over. And then we've got the same thing going on here, it's just a little bigger. You know, it's 160 instead of 144. Do the same thing with the top. Well, do the same thing with the top. And we're basically, I mean, we're literally doing the same thing. It's just, it's a more roundabout way of doing it. I prefer to make one side and then copy and rotate that side for everything else. Whoa. Then you never have the added, oh no, did I do this right? I mean, you obviously did it right. Plus, this way you have to edge every side. We've done 3, and we could have already made 3 of these boxes. 3 sides, and we could have done 3 full boxes in that amount of time. I personally think that one is better than the other, so you're going to listen to me talking, and you're going to be like, oh, well, he might just be biased. Well, you're right. I'm biased towards the more efficient method. So, our last side, the bottom. Now, the bottom we've got to drag out as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you'll notice, this box is slightly larger than the other box. That's because they were both based off of the same amount of a sized area, but this one we dragged out there after, so it was 8 units larger on every scale. But if we really wanted to, all we have to do is drag this up, stretch it 1, stretch it 1, stretch it 1, 2, and then this is literally the same size as that one, and you know. Or you could take a rough, say we really wanted to make a prefab that we could use for everything, well, then we can make a really small box, a 16 by 16 by 16, and then we'd go to grid 2, or grid 1. Grid 1 would work the best. I don't know why I'm still going on about this. I've still got 2 minutes, so I'll just do this real quick. Selection, well, not selection. I'm just going to hollow this one out. Since we've got our grid at 1, we're going to get off of that. We're going to take this, actually, I'm just going to do it my other way because it's faster and more appealing to me. Delete all those, take this, edge it out each side. 1, 2. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. 1, 2. Copy. Selection, rotate, rotate X, drag, select, copy, selection, rotate X, selection, rotate X, drag, oh, whoa, didn't want to change the size, I just wanted to move it. Thanks, bud. Okay. Then you deselect, select each side, copy, selection, rotate, rotate Z, and move it into location. And after it's in location, you've now got this perfectly hollow little itty bitty box. Well, all you have to do now is you save that box itself as a prefab. So we're going to take this, we're going to go to selection. Actually, I think it's edit, save selection as prefab. And we could go to wherever you save yours, which would be in C, Program Files times 86, Call of Duty Game of the Year Edition, main. And then there should be a folder named prefabs, which I obviously haven't set everything up yet. So, prefabs. And we'd take this and we'd name it 16x16 box edged. In fact, I'm going to use underscores to make sure that I know what I'm talking about exactly. .pfb. And now we've got this nice little repository of a 16 by 16 square box. And what we can do then is we can go to selection and we can go to scale, and if we wanted it to be instead of 16, a 512 by 512, all you have to do is think of, okay, well, in fact, all we have to do is really pull up a calculator. I think I've got a little shortcut on my keyboard over here for the calculator, in fact. Yep, okay. 512 divided by 16 equals 32. So we want the x to be 32, the size of its current size, and 32 and 32. The only problem then is each of these walls is now 32 units wide. But you can always change that later on. The main point is, you know, you've got this big, huge box. And all you had to do was take a little itty-bitty box, you know? Little box, big box. Little box, big box. Alright. So that's the tutorial for today. And we went a little over, but that's okay because I have 15 minutes of uploading time on YouTube nowadays. Woo! Okay. Thank you very much. Ask me any questions you have. Peace.